Stress, the first fold of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. This evening's lesson is drawn from a book I'm currently writing. The first chapter is Stress, the first of the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. Contrary to the ravings of 1,001 self-help gurus, personal coaches, and con men, the experience of meditation is not an indictment. Ask an evolution. I'm going to do that's a quick typo I'm going to fix right now. There we go. Fabulous. Ask an evolutionary biologist and they'll tell you there are stressors. Some are circumstantial, some are physical, some are interpersonal, and some are mental. No, stress is not the smoking gun that we believe in a permanent or independent self, that we're arrogant, cowardly, or faithless. Our visceral responses to stress evolved as an evolutionary mechanism to peril, to keep us alive. I'm going to change that word mechanism to response. To paraphrase Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, PhD, the universe is trying to kill us, and biology has evolved mechanisms to respond to the peril appropriately. And let's not be redundant. Let's replace that second peril with danger. Life forms born without a stress response typically do not live long enough to reproduce and pass on their genetic traits. No sentient being is a stranger to the stressors of not getting what they want when they want it, not keeping what they like for as long as they please, and enduring that which they do not want. Birth is stressful, illness is stressful, even dying is stressful. Since stress, from the petty to the existential, is more of a rule than an exception, the wise develop strategies to deal with it, circumstantially, physically, interpersonally, and mentally. That is why the Buddha taught meditation. I would very much like, let's see here. Let's get clever for a second. I would very much like to chant and meditate with you this evening after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us turn to the latest iteration of All Good Ones Easy Meditation. In junior high school, during PE, we would first warm up, we would perform the main act, and then we would cool down. Today's outline follows a similar pattern. The view of reality that supports letting go is the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Let us therefore practice Mahayoga's wisdom warm-up. Please chant with me. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with all these of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these wise words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors with statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. The Buddha was fond of organizing all that could be perceived into four categories: the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental. Tonight, let us begin with the circumstantial. You'll notice on the left, the first word of our sentence is the word may. This is not a prayer to a real or imagined celestial entity. We are simply using words to guide our intention. Together. May we see how all circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. On second thought, I think it would be quite lovely right now if together as a team we knock out a little bit of the old Buddha bowing. So what I'm going to do is hopefully click the right button in the right sequence and subject you all to Jumbo Cam. So this is not mandatory. I find it to be terribly refreshing and wonderfully grounding, and also an additional source of a splash of dopamine for my fellow neurodivergents. Okay, here we go. So this is very simple. You could think of it as Buddhist squat thrusts. As we breathe in, we're going to raise the roof. As we exhale, we are going to call up a squat. We then perform what I like to call advancing bear, retreating bear, and then start over again. Well, that was invigorating. Whew. Okay, let's go back to 9. Whew. Please chant with me. May we see how all circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. Notice how the verb melt functions as a figure of speech for impermanent, whereas the verb absorb functions as a metaphor of interdependence. Just as one might strive to fight fire with fire, in this exercise we are using self-centeredness to back our way out of self-centeredness, like a kitty cat in its head stuck in an empty Kleenex box trying to back its way out. So we're going to take all these words and all these words are going to coalesce into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. May we feel how all bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communication or speech. So here we go. May we hear how all interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. So we're going, in addition to what we've been doing all along, we're going to, as an extra added bonus, we're going to explore the idea of emptiness as merely a metaphor, or a simile in this case. May we feel how all perceiving, emoting, intending, thinking, recalling, and imagining minds could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be non-graspable to the hand. The 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path are Ati Yoga's mindfulness and meditation. But first, let us take a moment to consider Mudra Anu Yoga's energy work, which is a fancy way of saying playing with our fingers in a way that influences our energy in a manner conducive to meditation. Oh, sure, we could use the timer on our smartphones, but smartphones charges can deplete, they can get lost, stolen, or confiscated. And it's nice to know that all we need is our body to meditate. And so to keep track of our various meditations, we could use our knuckles to gather 4 collections of the 8 sets that we count on our left hand and the 12 rounds that we count on our right. Right now, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger in our lap. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever lower abdomen we might have noticed during our previous inhalation can now begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined syllable ah comprised only of green light. A Tibetan way of explaining mindfulness would be to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly perceive mind's antics of perceiving, emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. The most efficient way to do this would be to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. Doing so induces our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, found in the middle third of our spine, our spinal cord, which has evolved to take care of all of that. Similarly, the Tibetan way of Tibetans sometimes explain meditation as relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. The most efficient way of doing that would be to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so induces the cerebral cortex to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. As we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we can advance the tip of our right thumb, counting with it, upon the creases of our right hand. Please do so with me right now. Congratulations, now you can count 12 rounds, or repetitions, assuming a round is one inhalation followed by one exhalation. You can now count 12 rounds on just 4 fingers and 1 thumb. But how will you count 8 sets? For that, you'll need to use your left hand. And on your left hand, you can count your first set of 12 rounds, your second set, third set, and fourth set of 12 rounds. Your third set, fourth set, fifth set, and I lost count. Your fifth set, sixth set, seventh set, and eighth set of 12 rounds. All the while balancing or resting the tip of your right, the great knuckle at the base of your right little finger upon the tip of its left, your left little finger in its lap. Now this could seem overwhelming. I like to call this Bengali crease counting. This is difficult and ungainly, but if you come to these live streams once every 12 hours, within a week or so, you can master the entire system. Let's continue. One moment, if you please. Let us now begin. Let us now mark our second collection of 8 sets of 12 repetitions by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger in our lap. If you have just tuned in, allow me to remind you that mindfulness can sometimes be explained as noticing the antics of mind. Noticing those antics vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly as mind perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. The most efficient way of doing that is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, thus inducing our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of such things. Meditation can sometimes be described as relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. The most efficient way to do that is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, thus inducing our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, which supports both physical relaxation as well as mental release. I forgot to mention, that as we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever navel we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined syllable drum comprised only of gold-colored light. let us mark the beginning of our third collection of 8 sets of 12 repetitions by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger in our lap. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever heart we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined suitable home comprised only of blue light. we mark the beginning of our fourth collection of 8 sets of 12 repetitions. By resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, placing both hands in our lap, palms up. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever crown of our head we might have noticed during our previous inhalation can now begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined suitable Om comprised only of white light. Allow me to remind you that Tulku Thundeb explained mindfulness as vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly noticing mind's antics of perceiving, emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. The easiest way to do that is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus inducing our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of such things. Chogdud Tulku used to explain meditation as relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. The most efficient way to do that is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so induces the cerebral cortex to cooperate with the parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. we now switch gears from silent meditation to mantra meditation. So let us therefore begin by reviewing the meaning of the 12-syllable mantra of Pema Jungne together. I invoke teachers of action on meditation and hungry without the benzatantric. Guru teaches Pema enlightenment and siddhi abilities whom may be mastered by all. So it's rather simple. As we breathe in silently and mentally, we recite the phrase relaxing into this. As we exhale, we physically relax as best we can while striving to chant this 12-syllable mantra 3 times per breath. Now, if this is your first time hanging out with me or hanging out with me, I invite you to give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Mema Ziri Hung. 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 Please rest let's try this again. Please rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger on the tip of our left index finger in our lap. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Mema Ziri Hung. 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 Please rest the great knuckle at the base of your right middle finger upon the tip of your left middle finger in your lap. Om Ahum Benzo Guru Mema Ziri Hung. 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 Om Ahum Benzo Guru Mema us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger in our lap. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger in our lap. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. We began with wisdom's warm-up. We practiced both silent and mantra-oriented mindfulness and meditation. Now it's time for Mahayoga's compassionate cool-down, for loving kindness comprises 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us therefore sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors or statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors or similes. The word may is not indicative of prayer. It is simply a way of using words to guide our intention. May all minds of all beings know be as peacefully enlightened as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by articulate one syllable seed or bija mantra. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Maziri Hung. The mental morality of kind intention is the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all relationships or speech of all beings know be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha speech symbolized by your multisyllabic mantra. Please rest the right knuckle at the base of your right ring finger upon the tip of your left ring finger in your lap. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung. The interpersonal morality of kind communication is the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all bodies or forms of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health represented by Buddha's statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yadama and archetype of enlightenment such as Kuntu Zangpo. Please rest the great knuckle at the base of your right middle finger upon the tip of your left middle finger in your lap. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung. The physical morality of kind conduct is the fourth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. We now come to the final portion of this evening's practice, so let us really make it count. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the safe fortune or boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise pure land or Vanti. Please rest the great knuckle at the base of your right index finger upon the tip of your left index finger in your lap. Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung 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 Om Ahum Benzu Guru Me Masiri Hung. The circumstantial morality of kind commerce is the fourth fold of the the fifth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class, and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.